What up, racer? ItsJerone here, and welcome back to another F1 2021 League Racing video. And today we're here for FRL for the penultimate round of the season already, and we're here at Interlagos around Brazil, which is a brilliant track for league racing in my opinion. I really enjoy driving this track. When it comes to practice, I had a really tough week in terms of having to do stuff for uni and work, so I really didn't practice at all during the week. I didn't even drive during the week, and it does definitely affect my abilities in terms of driving, so I'm not absolutely driving at my peak during this race, but still, it's a very good race, so if you enjoy it, then please leave a like on this video, as we just had a little look at the standings, and you can see that Sylvan is currently leading by 4 points ahead of Terror. And although there are mathematically, I think, still 7 or 8 drivers that can win the championship, the real battle for the championship is probably between Sylvan and Terror. Anyways, we're jumping into our qualifying lap now, and I've already set a time on the mediums, 7.1. My personal best, which I did in the practice, was somewhere around 6.7 or 6.8, I believe. So there's still quite some time to find, but we're not going to find it on this lap because I invalidated it, as in the meanwhile Sylvan basically puts in my personal best with 6.7. Fortunately though, I did leave enough time to do a second run, because I knew that, well, it was a realistic option, I would invalidate my first lap, so I have a second chance, and with about 3 seconds remaining we crossed the line. So let's see if I can get turn 1 right this time. And going through these NSs, it's not an ideal line, ran a bit too deep for the first part, and that compromises the line for the second part and the exit onto this straight, so that's not optimal. So I did lose a little bit of time relative to my delta. Then turn 4 here, braking a little bit early and not really optimizing the track on the right hand side. So I lost another half a tenth, and we're about a tenth down heading into the second sector, keeping it in 7th gear, that's what I prefer. You can go down to 6th. Then for this left-hander, try to get good traction, stay as close to the inside as possible, because that curb helps a little bit with the rotation. So does that curb on the right hand side there. And we actually find quite a bit of time in this middle sector, flat out through this left-hander. Then the final corner, I believe it's called Jungsao or something. And I nailed that pretty well, and overall I gained, well, basically all my time in that final corner, because I messed up that corner on the previous run, and I will improve my time by 2/10, so dipping into the 1 minute 6s, which I was quite happy with the limited practice I could do, and that is a 5th place for this race, which is quite okay, I would say, only 2/10 off of pole, so I'm quite happy with that. Lost most of the time in the first sector. In terms of the championship battle, Sylvan got pole, Terror in P8, so that will be interesting to see how that one works out. I indeed lost most of the time in Sector 1, and overall for this race I think the setup is mainly focused on good straight line speed. I think I was 5th in the speed trap or something, with a full grid, so that's not too bad, and it should allow for good overtaking during this race. One thing I did do for this race was lowering my tire pressures quite a bit, and I think I might have put them a little bit too low because I was scared of overheating the right front tires, especially on this soft compound. And we're gonna start this race with Yogurt right in front of me, then Jeroen beside me, Ginger to the left behind me, and Zach right behind me. And let's see what's the start like. It's, well, sort of okay relative to everyone else, but Yogurt got an absolutely insane start. I'm not sure if he did a bit of a Bottas where he jump started by accident and it sort of worked out. And in the meanwhile, I had to run a little bit deep there in turn 1, and I had to make sure I cut in front of Terror and Zach. And in the end, I do manage to hold my P5 here. And I ran a little bit wide on purpose here. Well, I didn't mean to run that wide, but I didn't want to get tangled up in an instant with cars going side by side behind me. Then going through this corner, this time in the race it's better to take it in 6th gear, but I nearly lost the car there on the entry to the next corner, and someone else who loses it is Yogurt in the white Red Bull, and he spins out from I think 2nd or 3rd place in this race after a really good start by him. So very unfortunate for him, but of course it does help out my race. You can also see Sylvan is already clear in his Mercedes of Jeroen by, oh, I don't know, about a second probably, second and a half. So then Jeroen in second, Heyoo in third, myself in fourth, and then Zach and Terror. So completed this first lap quite clean. Start was not optimal, but I didn't lose any positions, so that's always good. Then we're skipping on to lap 4. Of course, DRS trains are likely to form here around Interlagos. And you can see Heyoo overtaking Jeroen. And yeah, I was just chilling behind, just saving up a bit of ERS and getting into the groove really. Trying not to get any warnings and also trying not to spin there. I was struggling in the Senna S's to get a good exit there throughout the race. So skipping on to start of lap 6 now, still in DRS range, so are Zach and Terror behind, and you can see Phoenix retired from the session. And I can confirm this will be the first of many safety cars around here. And of course this is a prime opportunity to fit a new fresh set of medium tires. Softs are about 27% worn. Then heading into the pit lane. And you can see I was sort of looking behind because I didn't want Zach to essentially sort of make a pit lane move. I'm not sure why I was too concerned about that, but yeah, I sped into the pit lane by about 2 kilometers per hour, which is not optimal because that means I now have a 5-second time penalty, and that will of course compromise this race, as this most likely won't be the final stop of this race. So you can see come out in P12. There's one ghost car of, well, I don't think he's ghosted at this point, Mad Dog Boy. He is somewhere from the United States, I believe, and you can see his connection wasn't the best to our lobby. And with this 5-second time penalty I thought, well, ideally I don't want to be behind this Ferrari, so I guess I'll just take the pain now, go for a completely different strategy, fit on a set of hard compound tires and try to go until the end of the race and make sure I get this 5-second time penalty removed. Yogurt's also picked up a 5 seconds, and Ron has also come into the pit lane, switching from hard tires to medium tires. So by the end of this safety car period we're dead last. We're in P19, and I also messed up this restart quite a bit. Definitely got caught napping here, and we're a second behind Ron. So we have quite a gargantuan task on our hands to try and cut our way through the field, and the first thing I need to do is get back within the DRS range and go from there basically. So of course we're not going to give up, and you can see already half a lap later there's quite a train forming because many of the alternative strategy runners of course stayed out, and they're now slower than everyone right behind them. So the pack is definitely bunching up here as I have to make my way through 2 of the ghost cars, and you can just see there's such a massive train for me. It was really easy to get back within this 1 second window of the cars ahead, as I'm now on the straight clearing the first ghost car and then the second one from F1 Champ. So let's try and get ahead of him going through the Senna S's, and this is just so awkward when you're inside another car, you don't want to make a mistake. Then on the right hand side there you could see my teammate round, and that's one free position for now. Then heading into turn 4, this time I actually take it quite nicely relative to the qualifying run you just saw, and fortunately I'm ahead of all these ghost cars, so that's that out of the way. In the meanwhile though, you can also see Yogurt's picked up another 5-second time penalty, and you can just see the train that's forming here, and many people going side by side, battling it out. And I don't think I've ever seen this in a league race, where basically, watch this, there are like literally 8 cars within the space of 20 meters or something. This is absolutely ridiculous, and you can see there's contact between the 2 Haas cars. Robin is round, with Aspect getting a poor exit as a result, and that's 2 free positions for me already, as Aspect immediately comes into the pit lane, probably with damage. Then heading into turn 1, still a couple of people going side by side with each other, and with quite a few people retiring from the session. There's another safety car. You can see a Mercedes into the wall of Yannick on the right hand side, and that's of course another safety car. So at this stage I was kind of debating what I should do, and you can see most of the drivers are on mediums at this stage. And quite an important lesson Tom97 taught me is you always want to be on the right tire at the right time in the race. So I thought, let's go for mediums. Realistically, if there would be no safety cars, you would probably pit somewhere around lap 14, I think, for mediums. So now it's lap 12 and we're under safety cars, so this is probably the right call to do. And since I'm basically at the back of the field anyways, I won't lose too many positions. So in fact, I think I only lost one position, dropping from P11 to P12, but we're on the way for the restart now. And Yogurt timed this really well, and he tries to go around my outside, so braking into turn 1, and we've been collected by Yogurt. This is not exactly going to plan. I do think it's a bit of a racing incident, but I do think the incident is mainly his fault. The replay cameras don't really show a great shot of it. As usual, the replay cameras were absolutely horrendous for this race, by the way. So please fix that, Codemasters. Show us some different shots. And I went into the replay cameras. It was actually quite dark for the photos, but I think the contact was already before the apex of turn 1. And I wanted to go onto the curb on the left hand side, but not that early. So I do think the incident was mainly his fault, but overall I'm not going to complain. It's a racing incident. In the meanwhile though, you can see quite a lot of people spinning and losing control of their cars. So we're already back up to 13th place, or actually make that 12th, because Ron has damage. And we're actually up to P11 now, because someone else spun. So yeah, if we continue this way, then we'll be P1 by the end of lap 20, but that's of course not going to happen. In the meanwhile though, you can see Krijn ahead still on hard compound tires. And I was planning on overtaking him, of course, with my fresher mediums. And I didn't want to drain my full battery for it, and you can see he does want to drain his battery, extending the gap by more than a tenth relative to the apex of the final corner. So I'm not going to drain my battery on this straight, and I will try to do that on the next one. But there's another safety car. I'm not sure why this one was called out, but I do think it helps a little bit in terms of trying to save the tires. So because I put my tire pressures relatively low, I think I'm wearing out my tires a little bit faster relative to most of the other drivers around me. As you can now see, many people are diving it into the pit lane for a new set of mediums, and actually some drivers I think are still to make their first pit stop in the race. So now everyone's made a pit stop, with Ginger, Heyoo and Zach all pitting under the first safety car for mediums. Then F1 Champ is a ghost car, Krijn staying out on hard compounds. Then I pitted for mediums about 3 or 4 laps later than most of the cars behind. But actually Sylvan, Jeroen and Terror have now pitted under this last safety car, and they have even fresher medium tires than I have. So there's about, I would say, a 10-15% difference in tire wear between me and Zach and Heyoo and Ginger. And I think Sylvan and Jeroen have 20% fresher tires than me. As we're now getting underway for the next safety car restart. Quite kind from Krijn not to use a shit ton of ERS here. So we'll go down his inside here at turn 1. Leave him the space on the inside in case he tries to hang it around. But I think he actually spun there. And also Jeroen and Sylvan managed to get through, as they are heading side by side into turn 4. And I think this is some clean and respectful racing between them. As you can see, they're still going side by side here, heading into turn, I don't know if this is 5 or 6, depends if the little kink in the straights also call the corner or not. But they're still going side by side, and in the end I think Jeroen will get the upper hand over Sylvan. So in terms of the championship battle here, Sylvan in P6, and I think Terror is right behind him in P7 for the moment. So in the meanwhile, we've also been promoted back up to 4th place in this race. So the comeback's working quite well, I would say, as Krijn retires from the session I think he crashed into the wall after the fast left-hander, and that's yet again another safety car. And I was contemplating about going to softs here, but I thought if the guys in front of me don't pit, then I also won't. And in the end, the only one who decided to go for the bold strategy is Ginger, and he goes from the lead of the race to a fresh set of softs, and he's now somewhere right at the back of the field, as in meanwhile our tires are on about 27, or actually the right rear is the one that's compromised the most. It's on 31%, and I can confirm at this stage Zach's tires were at about 45% and Chilu's somewhere around 40, I believe he said, so I do have a bit of a tire wear advantage. Then this time I don't mess up my restart, actually I have quite a good one. Then Chilu had a little mistake, I also get a little snap of oversteer, and it's not the best restart for all of us, but I do think we all managed to keep our position, trying to get a little bit of more heat into the tires. And you can see behind, there's contact, there's a massive crash, and this time Sylvan and Jeroen don't keep it clean. I'm pretty sure Sylvan lost it on the curb on the left hand side and then sort of ran into Jeroen on the outside.
Oh, it was a bit... No! What's the fuck?
Oh! Holy!
Oh my god!
Yeah,
What the fuck?
Fuck this shit.
What happened there?
Car is that?
I see when Jeroen have contact and I
Ginger, be safe! Hello.
So yeah, that was a massive collision between a lot of drivers, and I pick up my 3-second time penalty here in a really silly way, basically getting a time penalty on a straight. Like, how stupid can you be? But I think this scenario really worked out for Ginger, because he's now back up to 4th place in this race, only a lap or two after he pitted. So this was probably the best strategy call he could ever make, and he managed to avoid all that carnage and just take like 5 positions for free. So he's now right on the back of me, closed up a lot, and I actually think I braked relatively late, but still, he sent it down the inside, and just with superior tire grip, there's just nothing I can do really. And Ginger clean around the outside, a good move by him, and very decisive as well. Then 2 laps later, he's already into the lead of the race and pulling away from Chilu. Chilu, I think, was running higher tire pressures than both me and Zach. And Chilu probably, well, he still has worse tires than I have, but by the end of the race it will sort of cancel out with me, I think. And Zach was definitely the one who was struggling the most here. So I was actually getting quite close to him, and let's probably go for a move, shall we? Up into the podium positions, but of course this 3-second time penalty will hamper me, because Zach's right behind and Terror as well, and actually my teammate is also there in P6, but he also has a 3-second time penalty. So the goal is to try and get away from Zach here, and I tried to do that, but that was a sort of semi-spinala. Fortunately it wasn't a full spin, but still, it's just about not enough to stay within this DRS range here of 1 second, and yeah, overall the spin cost me like about 1.5 seconds. So this was not great. Do all the hard work to try and overtake Zach, and then immediately lose it on the traction. So that was really annoying, and I was a little bit annoyed with myself as well here. But yeah, there's nothing I could do, and I know I have a lot better my tires are a lot better than Zach's tires, so I should be able to just get the move done again. And you can also see lap 33, I've been saving quite a bit of ERS, so we're up to 60% now entering the main straight of this track. And I was sort of debating, should I overtake him this lap or should I wait one more lap? If I would drain my entire battery here, I would be able to get ahead, and I need to think about how I'm going to pull this 3-second gap. So in the end I decided to stay behind and try to save a little bit more ERS. If I got an insane exit here coming out of the Senna S's, I would have gone for the move, but it just wasn't good enough. And I thought, well, I know Zach's tires are about 70% tire wear right now. Mine are somewhere around 55 to 60%. So I should have a massive tire advantage still. And now, with basically 2 laps remaining, I'm gonna make this move. And I will have about 60% of my battery left. So let's go for it. Simply overtake him on the straight. Clear into turn 1, running a little bit deep actually for these Senna S's, so that's not optimal, because that will mean I'll have to use a little bit more ERS to try and defend here from Zach, who will obviously be trying to overtake me again, and draining the battery a bit, but Zach's just not close enough to do anything about it, so we're back up into P4 in this race, but of course this 3-second time penalty won't be very optimal. So heading on to the final lap of the race, final sector, you can see my rear right 66% and Zach's tires were actually 76 or 77% I believe. Ginger winning this race comfortably with a great strategy call. Then it's Heyoo who finishes the race in second. Terror in P3, and Zach of course gets a jump on me due to having no time penalties. Then both the AlphaTauris, and in the end Sylvan actually had quite a horrendous race and he finished in 9th place. In terms of the championship, I think that means that Terror will have a 7-point lead heading into the final race of the season, which will be around Bahrain. Anyways, for this race, I think my race pace actually was very decent, and I managed to do quite well, recovering from 19th place back up to P4 across the line and P5 based on penalties. If you did enjoy the video and if you're excited for the final race of the season that's about to come up around one of my favorite tracks, then smash the like button, and if you fancy it, you can subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.